Okay, so I am here. I'm so excited. I'm here with my really good friend Nadia and Narain, who's in London, where it's daytime, and obviously I'm here. I don't know if you can see out my window, but it's dark. So I met Nadia 8 years ago, nearly, when I was pregnant with Marlo, and was told that the baby was breech. And I had a few friends say, "Oh, you should just go try some yoga." And I had never taken a yoga class. I'd never even done home yoga, nothing. And so I walked into Nadia's pregnancy yoga class, pregnant with Marlo, and I loved you immediately, Nadia.
I remember you immediately. I remember you had a ring with a heart ring, and I had a heart ring, and I was like, "There's my girl."
Yeah. Aw. Yeah. So what was it? So what did I want to say? I wanted to say that so that first yoga class, I walked in, and I've written about this in this week's PDF, so people will probably already have read this, but I walked in there. You made me cry. You made me feel completely empowered. And I say to so many people, but I really feel like you deserve credit for awakening in me this sense of power and trust in my body. And it started with that very first yoga class and has continued, obviously. So I've been obviously a big fan of you and a big fan of yoga for the last 8 years. What else can I say about you, Nadia, before I let you start going? So you have been teaching yoga since 1996. You were one of the first yoga teachers at London's Tri Yoga Studio. You have 6 yoga DVDs, 4 of which we have and love. And you
There's
are
one.
there's a pregnancy one. That's right. So I'll give links to that in the notes for the interview. And you are the co-author, along with your sister, of 2 books. So you've got Self-Care for the Real World and Rituals for Every Day.
And we have a new one. We have a
new one. You haven't told me that. That's so exciting.
Yeah, because it comes out when is this coming out? May, right? So
May,
yeah, because it comes out on the 31st, the 30th of April.
Gosh, and that's like next week.
Yeah, we're doing it as an ebook because they're not printing anything. And basically, we just sat down for the last month and wrote down everything that we felt was really important for this time. And it's called Self-Care for Self-Isolation.
Oh, amazing.
And it's it's good. You know me, and I never say anything I do is good. I'm always questioning everything. But Katya and I felt really moved by it. And we feel like it takes the first book, Self-Care for the Real World, and really puts it into this, takes it out of the I and really makes it the we, like why is it important? And yeah, so that comes out, that will be out by the time this comes out.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so I'll link to that as well. So today we are talking really about pregnancy yoga.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about postpartum as well. And yeah, so why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into this line of work, and I guess especially talking about pregnancy yoga.
Okay, so I was traveling all over the world when I was young, and I ended up in Los Angeles, and a friend of mine said, "We're going to go to my yoga teacher." I'd never really done much yoga before. And I walked into this woman's house and I was like, I took a breath, and I felt like I'd never taken a breath before. And I just started going every day to these yoga classes, and she kind of had her eye on me. She must have been at the time, she was probably in her 50s, and she had a little eye on me, and then she made me stay for the next class after the class I took. And I'm like, all these pregnant women in here. What's going on? And she's like, just stay and watch. And so I'd sit and I'd see all these pregnant women come to her house and take this class and then leave feeling like really empowered and really strong. And then I started reading a book called Spiritual Midwifery by Ina May Gaskin, who I then followed. I went and studied with her on the farm and took an assistant.
Did you?
Yeah, I did it.
Know this?
I don't know. I don't really talk about a lot of this stuff, you know, but
I've actually met her in real life.
Yeah, I spent 10 days with her, and I talked with her, and for some reason I've got WhatsApp on my phone. I thought I turned it off. And so I did an assistant midwifery course with her, and I was there for like my birthday or something. I think I was 30, and I said to her, I've never asked anyone if I could have a picture with them, but can I have a picture with you? It's my birthday. And we just stayed on this hippie commune and studied with her, and everything that she said, again, made total sense. And then I studied with Marie Mongan, who wrote the original teacher of hypnobirthing.
Okay.
And, you know, they're all saying the same thing, and that is that you got this, you can do this, and there's nothing to be afraid of. And it's a strange thing because I never went on to have children, but it's been my passion to look after women during this time. And my mother had, I had a sister, my mother had a baby that died when she was 11 months old. And the month that my sister died, my mother got pregnant with me. And so in retrospect, when I look back at my history and in therapy and all the work that I've done on myself, I think I was just born into this deep sadness and this disconnect between a mother and her baby. And my mother and I, you know, we get on okay now, but we never really got on well. It was always a very fractious relationship. And I think she just didn't know how to love something, trust loving something again in case she lost it. And maybe that's just in my DNA. And I started moving in this field of looking after, like, that was a really important time. I felt a connection between the unborn child and the mother. And that most mothers are afraid, or they hear negative stories, or, I mean, it's probably different in Byron Bay, but, you know, people are like focusing always on the negative stories, and, oh yeah, my sister had this and this one had that. And I'm like, but this is your story. Like, what could your story be? And so that's why I have on my website, there's like pages and pages of the birth stories from the women in my class. They're not made up. They're you know. And I just think that it's such an, I think that we live in the space of fear, and we need to move into the space of love and feel the absolute excitement that you've just grown a whole human being inside you, and this person's going to come out into the world and have the possibility of like changing the world, you know, in so many ways. And I don't know, it's such a beautiful time.
It is.
You know, you know, I mean, listen, it's not for everybody, and everyone's got everyone's got their shit that they have to deal with. But I just think that if we can try and focus on the good, I mean, we're in lockdown right now. We were talking about this earlier, and I feel like that time of pregnancy and labor is like the micro of this macro situation. Like, everyone's in fear. No one knows what's going to happen. We can choose to stay in that place, and I was for a couple of weeks, you know, overnight I lost my career. I didn't have a job. There was no income coming in. You know, I was recovering from COVID, and I've just kind of gotten into this space right now where I just want to find the beauty in each day and the joy in each day. And I'm watching like this, it's like filling up in me, you know. So when you're pregnant, what you choose to focus on is really, really important.
100%. And also through birth, I guess, you know, it's the same.
And through mothering, you know.
Exactly. And for the rest of your life.
The rest of your life. So it's all a preparation. Like, it's always, I always say it's like your labor is like the initiation for motherhood, you know. Because you're going to spend your whole life beating yourself up. Did I do that right? Should I have done that? Was I kind enough? I screamed at my kid. You're going to there's always constantly going to be something wrong, that you did, or you're going to feel bad about. And, I say this in all my classes, labor is the easiest part of motherhood. Yeah. There's no question, right? One way or another, there's a beginning and an end to that.
Yeah.
But the mothering just goes on. I mean, I look at my mom, and we don't always get on that well, but she still worries about me. And I'm like, Mom, I'm 47 years old. I got this, It never ends.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a, it is, like you said, it's such a metaphor for what's going on in this world right now, and bringing that back to pregnant women and on the brink of birthing, and that fear of the unknown, and the importance of breathing and being centered and being in that moment, and not focused on what is going to happen. How long is this going to take?
Totally. I mean, we were talking about it earlier because I was at a birth as a doula, and Sarah her first baby was a C-section. And so she had a vaginal birth, she wanted to have a natural birth, the second baby, but the labor went on for a while, as it does after a C-section. And I remember we got to 12 hours, and I think they had told her she was only 5 centimeters dilated or something like that, which I hate number time, because you just have to go into no time and no numbers at that point. But she got this calculation fixed in her head, and she looked at me and she's like, girl, I can't do another 12 hours to get to 10 centimeters. Like, it's just not going to happen, you know? And I said, all right, I got you. And I said, can you do 10 more minutes? Can you just breathe through 10 more minutes? Let's just try that. And she's like, yeah, okay, I can do that. And she was sitting on a ball, and she got through those 10 minutes, and I just pushed it a little more. I went to 20 minutes without her really knowing. And I was like, we just did 20 minutes. Do you think you can do another 20? And she's like, yeah, I can do another 20. We did another. So we did 3 hours of 20 minutes, and it was 15 hours, and she had her baby. And it was a real eye-opener to just this real present moment being. I mean, all the deep teachings of all the great teachers teach you this, and I've studied it my whole life, but I feel like I'm only really learning it right now, where I'm totally out of control of the outcome. And suddenly, like, okay, cleaning my house is as important as teaching a yoga class, as cooking food, and everything is just in the moment. And you have to do that job really, really well, and then you move on to the next thing. And I think when you're busy and you're rushing and you're trying to control things all the time, you can't let go, and that is really the key. And there's a German word, I can never remember it. Because,
I know it. Yeah. I forget it as well, but I know.
Yeah. Someone will know that's watching. And it's those last couple of weeks before you go into labor. And everyone says to me in class, I'm just waiting for the baby to come. I just want the baby to come. Usually those people have the toughest births. They're not the ones that have the easiest labors.
Well, because they're not just letting go, right?
They're just not in the present.
Yeah.
They're holding, they're gripping, they want this thing to happen. And then I'm like, okay, in whatever time that baby comes out, for the first time in your life, if it's your first baby, and if it's your 5th baby or your 3rd baby, you're going to have to take care of another human being until they leave home. And then you have to worry about them for the rest of their lives. So enjoy these last few weeks. You get to read a book, or you get to go for a walk, or you get to do whatever you want to do for these last couple of weeks. Like, just be in that, and then something shifts in them,
Well, and it's just a good lesson to learn, or a reminder to yourself in those weeks leading up to birth, because it is what is required of you in birth, to be in the moment again, and stop trying to control,